Welcome to the wonderful channel where books are discussed. Yes, there is a summary of this book too. If you're ready, let's get started.
José Saramago's Blindness, Ensayo sobre a ceguera, 1995, is a haunting allegory that explores what happens when civilization loses its moral and social structure. Set in an unnamed country, the novel tells the story of a mysterious epidemic of blindness that spreads rapidly, stripping humanity of sight and symbolically of reason, empathy, and morality. Through its poetic, stream of consciousness style, Saramago examines the fragility of human civilization and the darkness that lurks beneath order and decency. The story begins with an ordinary scene. A man waiting at a traffic light suddenly goes blind. He is the first victim of what will become known as the white blindness, so called because, unlike typical blindness, it appears as an all-encompassing milky whiteness. The man cries out in confusion as cars honk behind him. A stranger offers to help, driving him home, but later steals his car. This act of theft foreshadows the moral collapse that will soon overtake society. The first blind man's wife takes him to an ophthalmologist, hoping for answers. The doctor examines him but finds nothing wrong physically. Later that night, as he researches the mysterious case, he too goes blind. Soon, the blindness spreads like a contagion. Everyone who comes into contact with the infected, directly or indirectly, loses their sight. The government, terrified and unprepared, decides to quarantine the blind in an abandoned mental asylum. The doctor and his wife are among the first group sent there. The doctor's wife, however, can still see. Out of love and loyalty, she pretends to be blind so she can accompany her husband. Her decision will make her both a witness and a moral compass in the chaos that follows. Inside the asylum, conditions quickly deteriorate. The first group of internees includes the doctor, his wife, the first blind man and his wife, the thief who stole the car, and several others. There are no names. Saramago deliberately avoids naming any character. They are identified only by their traits: the doctor's wife, the first blind man, the girl with dark glasses, the old man with the black eye patch, and the boy with the squint. This anonymity underscores the novel's universality. These people could be anyone, anywhere. At first, the government supplies food, leaving it at the gate of the asylum. Soldiers guard the perimeter, ordered to shoot anyone who tries to escape. Fear governs both sides. The blind fear starvation and neglect, while the sighted soldiers fear infection. Inside, order disintegrates almost immediately. Hygiene is impossible to maintain, communication becomes chaotic, and food distribution turns violent. The doctor's wife quietly takes on the role of caretaker, guiding others without revealing her secret. Her sight becomes both a burden and a curse. She alone witnesses the full horror of humanity's descent. The thief, who initially gloated about stealing the first blind man's car, becomes infected early and later dies from an untreated wound. His body lies rotting in the ward for days before the others, guided by the doctor's wife, manage to dispose of it. This moment marks the beginning of the asylum's moral decay. As more blind people arrive, overcrowding worsens. A group of men seizes control of the food supply, using violence to establish dominance. They extort others, demanding valuables, and later, women, in exchange for food. Civilization has vanished. Primal survival instincts rule. The women, led by the doctor's wife, eventually decide to resist. When the leader of the violent gang demands sexual access to them, the doctor's wife kills him with a pair of scissors, the only moment of deliberate violence committed by someone acting out of conscience. After his death, the asylum burns during a fight between the wards, and the blind realize that the soldiers outside have abandoned them. The quarantine is over, but only because society itself has collapsed. The doctor's wife leads a small group of survivors: the doctor, the first blind man and his wife, the girl with dark glasses, the old man with the eye patch, and the boy with the squint, out of the asylum and into the ruined city. What they find is apocalyptic. Blindness has spread everywhere. Streets are filled with garbage, corpses, and desperate people wandering aimlessly. Public order no longer exists. Shops have been looted, government offices abandoned, and communication systems have fallen silent. The city reeks of death and decay. In this world without sight, the doctor's wife becomes both guide and protector. Her vision allows the group to find food, shelter, and some semblance of order. But it also forces her to bear witness to the dehumanization around them, people eating rotten food, fighting over scraps, and losing all sense of dignity. The group takes refuge in an empty apartment building, sharing food and caring for one another. Despite their misery, they form a fragile community based on trust and compassion. The doctor's wife washes and feeds them, while the others slowly adapt to their blindness. The girl with dark glasses forms a bond with the boy with the squint, protecting him like a mother. Love and solidarity begin to re-emerge, offering a glimmer of hope amid despair. In one of the novel's most poignant scenes, the doctor's wife leads the group to a church, hoping to find solace or supplies. But the church's statues and paintings of saints and angels have all been covered with white cloths, the same white as the blindness. It's as if even God has been blinded. The symbolism is powerful. Faith, like reason, has failed to prevent. The doctor's wife begins to question whether her ability to see is truly a blessing. She feels overwhelming guilt and exhaustion. She alone can perceive the squalor and degradation of the new world. Yet her vision also allows her to recognize moments of beauty, the rain that cleanses the city, the taste of bread, the tenderness between the survivors. Gradually, life begins to adapt. The group creates a small home in the doctor's apartment, sharing whatever food they can find. Though civilization is gone, humanity begins to rebuild itself through compassion and shared suffering. Then, as suddenly as it began, the blindness starts to fade. One by one, people regain their sight. The first blind man wakes up and sees again. His wife follows. The doctor recovers his vision. And finally, the doctor's wife realizes that she too has been restored to the same fragile condition as everyone else. There is no scientific explanation, no miracle. Just as the blindness had come without reason, it leaves without one. The novel ends ambiguously. The survivors look out over the devastated city, uncertain whether humanity has truly learned anything from the ordeal. Interpretation and themes. Blindness is not a dystopian novel in the traditional sense. It is a moral and philosophical fable. Saramago uses blindness as a metaphor for the moral and spiritual blindness of modern society. When people lose their sight, they also lose their humanity. Not because blindness itself is dehumanizing, but because their moral foundation was superficial to begin with. The epidemic reveals what lies beneath civilization's polished surface: selfishness, fear, and cruelty. Yet amid the horror, Saramago also finds redemption. The small group of survivors, led by the doctor's wife, demonstrates compassion, courage, and solidarity. Humanity's hope lies not in institutions or religion, but in individual acts of kindness and conscience. The doctor's wife embodies moral vision. She sees not only physically but also ethically. Her decision to stay with her husband, to protect strangers, and to confront evil reflects the resilience of empathy in a world of darkness. She is the moral heart of the novel, both savior and witness. The absence of names and the lack of quotation marks or traditional punctuation in Saramago's prose reinforce the sense of chaos and universality. The narrative flows continuously, like a collective human consciousness stripped of individuality. His style demands that the reader engage actively, navigating through the confusion just as the characters must navigate a blind world. The imagery of white blindness is also symbolic. It contrasts with the traditional notion of darkness as ignorance. Here the blindness is blindingly white, perhaps representing too much light, too much knowledge, or the overwhelming exposure of truth. In this world, seeing everything may be as unbearable as seeing nothing. The novel also critiques the failures of authority. The government's decision to quarantine the blind, the soldiers' cruelty, and society's rapid collapse reveal how fragile our systems of control really are. Civilization, Saramago suggests, is a thin veneer, easily stripped away when fear takes over. At its core, blindness is about moral responsibility. The doctor's wife's ability to see does not make her superior, it makes her responsible for others. Vision, in Saramago's world, is not just perception, it is understanding, compassion, and moral clarity. Conclusion. José Saramago's Blindness is a masterwork of allegorical fiction, blending realism and philosophy into a chilling meditation on the human condition. It shows how easily humanity can descend into barbarity when stripped of its comforts and rules, but also how resilience and empathy can endure even in the darkest times. The novel's ending offers no clear resolution or moral. The blindness fades, but the memory of what people became remains. Whether society will learn from its own moral collapse is uncertain. The final image, a city regaining sight yet still marked by ruin, suggests that blindness is not just a physical condition but a permanent aspect of human nature. Saramago leaves readers with a haunting question. Are we truly capable of seeing, or do we live blind to our own inhumanity?
The summary of another book is finished. What did you learn from this book? Have you read it before? Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe and like the channel.